Okay, so this is a super funny story. I think you guys are gonna enjoy. It actually comes out of the old Canada, where I'm from. The good old, good old Canada, close to home too. It was in Saskatoon, in Saskatchewan. Can you believe that Saskatoon is located in Saskatchewan? They have the same root word, Sask, but either way, it's in Saskatoon. And I just want to preface this by saying this is something I feared from the beginning. All right, we all know the cell phone laws that are going on and everywhere. You can't text and drive. I get it. Distracted driving makes sense. It's fine, but there's got to be a gray area somewhere, right? And to me, this is one of those, and it's something that I fear too. So every fucking fast food joint, everywhere you go that's food related, Starbucks, McDonald's, Dairy Queen, I think has one too. Fuck, everybody has an app, right? Where you get points and you get deals, and it's fine, whatever. But this poor son of a bitch, Mason Prima, that's his name. He was in Saskatoon, and he got pulled over by a motorcycle cop because he was using his McDonald's app in the drive-through, which is, again, that's technically you're on your phone while you're driving, right? Like, what if this is one of those examples where what a fucking cunt. I'm sorry, I have to use that word, but what a fucking cunt that police officer is. It's very clearly a police officer just trying to swing his dick around to a young kid. I don't know how old this kid is. Like, judging by his picture here, he looks probably like he's young, right? He's 20. He's definitely under 30 for sure. But and it looks like I can't see his car, but I can kind of see the door, and it looks like a nice car, like judging by the interior of the door. The picture they have from the news article is just him sitting in his car, and it's just a picture of him, and then you can see the inside of his car a little bit, but it looks like a nicer car. So it's probably just a cop feeling like a big swinging dick, and he saw this young kid in a nice car, and he's like, "Fuck that kid," and he got him on this violation, and it was 500. Hold on, let me click on this again. Oh, I liked it, I guess. Cool, but it was yeah, $580 for using a cell phone while driving, but he was in a fucking drive-through. Oh my god, this world is imploding. I'm sorry, but like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Just let me know in the comments below, because I think the world's gone totally insane. Welcome everybody back to Not Rich Just Bored, episode number 116. Woo! Here we go. Yeah. And you guys thought you were having a bad day for a parking ticket. Imagine getting a ticket for being on your cell phone during a drive-through. Lowest of the low. Just goes to show you guys that not all cops are good. Now, that doesn't mean defund those guys, all right? I want to be clear. We still need them. A lot of them are just normal good dudes that have a job to do. So, let's not defund them, but at the same time, they're just humans like you and me. So, choose wisely. Some of them are dicks. Either way, there's really not much going on in the world right now. Well, not much that affects me. Obviously, we got lots of shit going on with Drake and Diddy, and the world's going into chaos. But the one thing I wanted to talk about more than anything right now, and it's going to be a quick episode this week, probably just a little bit 20-minute like catch-up session, but I'm just going to start with this little story. Sorry, my ADHD brain's suffering right now, but I had a meeting with my boss it's funny, I record the intro of this podcast, and then I literally had to leave because I got a call from him. I'm like, what the hell's going on? But I left because I didn't take a lunch, so I left early, right? So then I got, gonna come talk to me, whatever. But like, he want to talk to me, congratulate me on a good job, which is awesome. I love that. But it's funny because he gave me a gift card for this, just showing appreciation, right? And I thought that was pretty cool. But the problem is, I don't know if I've talked about this on here before. I might have, but I have a thing. It's not even that big of a deal. Something like 2% of people have it. It's not a big deal, but I don't like sparkles. I don't like sparkles at all. It's not like a thing against womanly stuff. It's not a thing against like I'm too manly for sparkles. I just it's literally, and this is gonna sound ridiculous. It's literally the Anakin argument from Star Wars. I'm just like I don't like sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. And that's how I feel about sparkles. I don't know what it is, but I really don't like them. They get everywhere. Like if you touch something with sparkles, it'll be all over your hands and like it's just everywhere. It never goes away. And I hate it so much. I unreasonably don't like sparkles for that reason. It's just I don't know if you can call it a phobia because I'm not really scared of it, but it's just God, I hate that. Sparkles are just fucked. But the reason I'm talking about it for this gift card is because he got me this gift card that has like sparkles all over it. Because some of the gift cards have like, if you see like those Visa gift cards and it's like shaped like a gift wrap or something, like a Christmas present, and it's got where the design of the Christmas present is or sparkles, and I'm like, so like when it gives, sorry, I'm still coughing too, but he gives me the gift card and I like hold it very, normally you take a card, thank you, put it in your pocket. I'm like holding it with my middle finger and my thumb on the edges and just like carrying it away like that. And you can tell he's just like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? But I'm like, I literally said, I'm like, I don't want to get sparkles on me. He's like, oh, okay. That's all right. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know it sounds irrational. It sounds weird, but I really I don't like sparkles. And believe me, the humor does not end there because, as many of you know, I have a little girl and she's 3 years old. And I don't know if you guys have a little girl, but almost all little girl clothing is fucking sparkles. And it pisses me off. Like, I will literally try to avoid shirts. And like, she loves Paw Patrol, for example. Loves it to death. I've watched so many episodes. It's great. But she's like, oh, I want this sky outfit. And I'm like, that's nice. But of course, there's fucking sparkles all the whole front of the shirt. I'm like, why? Why? Because they just get everywhere. And same with her hat. She has a Paw Patrol hat. It's like, it's a nice hat. It would be a nice hat with just the design. Why the fuck does it have to have sparkles on it? Like, they just put sparkles on everything. Stop it. Or at least have an unsparkled version. Because there's people like me who have a irrational anger towards it. Either way, I'm going to move on from that. I'm sorry, guys, but I just thought it was funny. I don't like sparkles, and it just drives me nuts. But there was a funny thing that happened recently. I'm just gonna bring it up here. Sorry, it might play here for you guys.
Did she tell you all?
Okay, sorry, I had to pause it there. But yeah, that Herschel Weingrod, he was the guy that directed Space Jam, and I think he's directed quite a few things, to be honest. But he got caught by Vitaly trying to meet a 15-year-old girl. Like, Vitaly is kind of doing like this whole creep catchers thing, and it's kind of, again, it's cool. It's a good thing that they're doing, but I don't know. It's weird to me because when I think of Vitaly, just let me make sure it's the same guy. Hold on, because it's the same guy that did Vitalized Life, I think. Vitaly. Yeah. Yeah, Aiden Ross and Vitaly. Yeah, because Aiden Ross and Vitaly that are catching these predators. And the problem I have with Vitaly is that almost everything he does is fake. Like everything, all of his pranks and all of his weird shit, it's almost always faked. So I don't think this is fake. I'm not going to say that I think these are fake because obviously, like, if it's fake, that's unreal. You're literally ruining a man's fucking life. That's ridiculous. But I don't know. One guy commented on the Instagram post, said, "Is that Joe Biden?" The guy does slightly look like Joe Biden in a weird way. And then there's another comment here saying Vitaly falls off for beating the shit out of women, and now he hunts predators. Oh my god. I get, and there's some people that are saying, people shouldn't be taking the law into their own hands, and I agree with that too, but I think these people need to be brought into the light. Like, I think they need to be brought to justice, essentially. But I don't know if it's such a weird thing, right? Because I don't think that people like Vitaly, it's a good thing that he's catching them, but at the same time, it's not really your job. And you're doing it more for clout. And, the problem with a lot of people is just like, because we used to have a whole thing around my area. They had like a local creep catching thing because, there's the Dateline NBC stuff with Chris Hansen, and that was cool. And it's basically you're catfishing people into meeting minors, and that was kind of the whole thing. But Chris Hansen had a whole crew, and he had security and police. It was professionally done. So, but the problem I always had with it, with local people doing it, is that it's dangerous. Like, you don't know who you're meeting. It could be a fucking crazy person that, assaults you. Obviously, Vitaly's not that. I'm sure he's got his whole film crew and all that. So, again, it's more good for him. But I'm talking when it was the local boys around where I live that were doing it, they ended up getting told by the police to stop it because they were entrapping people. And honestly, the thing is, the way that Dateline NBC, like, if you guys remember Dateline, like when they did to Catch a Predator, it was more basically the predators were just trapping themselves. The decoy that would talk to them was basically like, "I'm a 15-year-old girl. How are you?" And the guy would be like, "Yeah, I like that young pussy." And they'd get just so horned up on the idea. But the decoy would never be like, they could be like, "Oh, my parents are out." They would say stuff like that, but they would never like be overtly sexual back to them to entice them, like, because that's entrapment, right? And that was kind of the problem with the local guys here, and one of the reasons they got in trouble with the police, because one of the guys they ended up catching, and again, when you catch these people, you're ruining their fucking lives. Which, I mean, if you're a pedophile, fuck you, you deserve to have your life ruined. But it's just funny because they would do this stuff, but when you look at the messages, because they would release the transcripts of what was said exactly over the messaging, and they were literally just like, the guy was like, yeah, but you're too young. I really shouldn't. And they'd be like, "Come on, what are you, a pussy? Like, come on, you got to come hang out with me." Like, so, and in that way, I don't think that's fair, right? Again, obviously, the guy should not be talking to underage people, and he knew they were underage. But he had a change of heart and said, "You're right, you're underage. I shouldn't do this." And I really think, in a way, he probably brained up, or maybe he, had post-nut clarity. Who knows? But he brained up and said, "Oh, yeah, this is stupid," and so he, moved on with his life. But because they call him a pussy and be like, "Come on, I just really want to meet you," they enticed him to come over, and then they ended up being like, "Oh, what are you doing here to meet here to meet a 15-year-old girl?" It's like, well, you guys should have just let him, when he kind of said, "Oh, I'm not, this is wrong." You should just let him walk away at that point, right? Because he admitted it's wrong. And that's the important thing. People could chat with whoever they want online, but once you know the age, you got to know that's where you stop. You don't do anything else. Again, me personally, I wouldn't be talking to anybody underage anyways. That goes back to the whole Kendrick and Drake thing, right? Where Drake was like giving Millie Bobby Brown fucking dating advice when she was 14 fucking years old. Like, that's weird. That's hyper weird. So, in my opinion, they shouldn't be doing any of that to begin with. Obviously, that's my stance on that. That's fucking weird and stupid and wrong. But, and on the other hand, if a guy doesn't act on it and he doesn't actually, and he realizes, oh, this is stupid, this is wrong, I'm sorry, and he, walks away from the situation, I don't think he deserves to have his life ruined, because he did make the right choice in the end. Again, he's still a fucking weirdo for talking to who he thinks is a young child, but at least he saw the error of his way and he's going to correct it. But then they kind of enticed him back, and again, it's a sorry, I'm getting excited here. I'm fucking coughing up a storm. It's one of those things it's a touchy subject. And obviously my best case scenario would be that just leave kids alone. As soon as, if you're on a dating app or message board, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are, as soon as somebody says, I'm underage, you don't have to be a dick, but just be like, yeah, respectfully decline. Sorry, I don't feel comfortable talking to somebody underage. That's fine. Leave it at that. That's the best case scenario. But again, there's levels to this stuff, but it's just wild that this guy that was a director, he was probably one of the guys that was on Epstein's Island, I'll bet you any money. So yeah, Herschel Weingrod of Space Jam fame. So again, I haven't watched any of these. I'm gonna have to watch more of it. It sounds like a lot of people are against Vitaly, and I think, again, that's the problem with Vitaly, is that he has kind of a past of being a scumbag and being a fake prankster and doing a lot of stupid shit. But it sounds like he really wants to like turn it around. And this is because, again, if this is fake, like, this is very serious shit, and he should not be doing it at all. I mean, he shouldn't have done fake pranks, but there's a big difference between faking a fucking cheating girlfriend prank and faking a fake pedophile prank. A fake pedophile prank, a little bit more serious, but either way, kind of wild. So I am gonna end on this. It's gonna be a little bit of a longer thing. Again, check out that Vitaly clip if you guys, tell me if you think it's real, because I don't know the truth, to be honest. But I wanted to end with this video because, I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit, don't worry. But it's an interesting look into this lady she's an older lady. She looks pretty good for her age, but she's got to be in her 50s for sure, I imagine. Either that or late 40s. Early 60s would be really pushing it, but she's definitely in her 50s, I'd imagine. But I don't know. I'm just going to let you guys listen to the video here, and then we're going to kind of talk about it a little bit.
Someone answer this question. What is going on with emerging adult white males between the ages of, say, 18 and 25 to 30? I ask you this because most of the clients that come to me have young adult white males between 18 and, say, 30, and they are sleeping all day, gaming all night, hiding from their parents, hiding from the world, smoking a lot of weed. They don't want to grow up. And I don't want to use inflammatory language, but I have seen so much of this in the last 18 months that I would say this is an epidemic. And I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a complex issue. I think it has to do with the attraction of gaming and the escape of that. I think it has to do with losing faith in the world and the way it's going at the moment. And I think in some ways we all hit that 20s and we're like disillusioned with the fact that we have to grow up and like kick it into gear and take responsibility for ourselves. And maybe we don't want to do that. But why is it so much more difficult these days for this generation?
Okay, so again, that's coming from she's not a boomer technically. She's the next generation after that, whatever they called themselves. Was it Gen X? I honestly don't remember. But It's very confusing, all this stuff. But the thing is, she's talking about it, and she kind of, I don't know why she said white men in particular. That's a weird way to phrase it. I don't know why she said that, to be honest. But that comes from Kim Wench, parent coach on Instagram. I don't know. Either way, she does hit some points about, you know, the way the world's going. That's what she ends up saying. Again, I don't know why she said she started off with white males, because I don't think it's white males in particular. I think it's males across the board. And the whole thing is, it's kind of what we talked about last week with the whole Gen Z being lazy thing. It all ties together, right? The world the world is turning into a shithole in a lot of ways. And I don't mean that in like a, pessimist way. Like, I try to be an optimist, I really do. But honestly, the way the world's going, it's fucking rough. And I think what she said at the end there really nailed why men are being this way. And they're being this way because they don't feel like there's hope for the world. Like, in our generation of men, we've been taught that we're the problem. We're what's wrong with society, our toxic masculinity. Our jobs aren't paying fuck all anymore. There's the whole OnlyFans epidemic and a cheating epidemic because of social media. So many men, they just, it used to be you'd have a problem in your marriage and then you'd solve it, right? You'd solve it. But now it's like, I don't give a fuck if my marriage works out or not, because I got 100 girls on speed dial. I got 100 guys on speed dial. You know? It's that whole hookup culture, right? It's really, guys are disillusioned. They're disillusioned by the world right now. And I really think that's what part of it is. And people like her, again, she thinks, at the end, she thinks, well, it's maybe the state of the world. But it's true, but it's also her generation. It's that whole, and the funny thing is, we always say it's that generation, right? It's the boomer generation. They fucked us, right? And the Gen X fucked us, and these guys fucked these guys. Like, most people didn't fuck anybody. It's like, yes, they just took advantage of what they could at the time. They were just living. Most people, like my parents, for example, they're not overly wealthy. They just kind of lived their life and they did what they did. That's it. They had kids. They went to work. They have grandkids now. That's what happened. They just did normal circle of life shit. And yes, there were some people from that generation that capitalized on cheaper rates, on cheaper, finances, where they got a monopoly of buildings and stuff like that, for sure. But like, it's not the generation in general. It's certain people from that generation. Yes, because they had it easier for obtaining property. So, but there's a couple concerning comments on here. Like, Mikey from the block says, there's nothing to live for anymore, lady. Your generation fucked the world. And then another one from Molly Kins. I think it's pretty clear what's happening. We've created a society where there's nothing to live for anymore. Careers are soul sucking and don't get you ahead. Our money is worthless and we are taxed to death. Home ownership is becoming impossible for most people. We are taxed into poverty. Marriages fail and men are often on the losing end. The world is on the brink of world war. What exactly are they supposed to do? And that's another thing too, right? Like I said, the whole marriage thing. And men are on the losing end of marriage. You lose your kids. You pay child support for however many years. You pay alimony, whatever it is. Like, it's not good. And again, it's like, well, it's always been like that. Yes, it has always been like that. But the thing is, in the 80s, you couldn't go on Tinder and find a new woman, and it wasn't, or a new man or whatever, right? It wasn't that easy. But now with hookup culture and how easy it is to meet people over the internet and God knows where, like, you don't need to worry. It's like, oh, I had a fight with my wife. Fuck that bitch. I'm going to go get a Tinder bitch. That's all it takes now. Whereas you didn't have that back in the day. Before social media, you had to really work on your marriage. You had to work together. And if it didn't work out, it really fucking sucked. And that was the end. And you really had to work hard to find another partner. Either way. Another one. There's one girl here that's saying, And somehow the girls are getting by, going to college, getting careers, and making something of themselves despite the hardships that occur in every generation. So I want to know why this discrepancy exists. The idea that the world and the economy is going to shit doesn't make women ignore all responsibility and shut down. Life is difficult in every in very generation. I think she meant every generation. War, plagues, revolutions, and so on have existed for centuries. I feel for their struggles, but I don't think the economy is what failed them. Okay, I don't agree with her at all. The economy definitely has failed. And yes, more girls are going and getting careers too. That's just an effect. Oh, sorry.
Someone
Sorry, I clicked off the video there. I was wanted to read the comments, but the thing is, it's not. That's a side effect of the way the world has gone, right? The economy getting out of control. Girls are getting bigger jobs and better paying jobs because they need to, because it takes two fucking incomes to afford anything. So the people coming up are like, yeah, we need to work no matter what. So, and I don't think all girls are doing it, you know? And she says girls are getting by. Yeah, they're just getting by. And men are too. Men are too. And this goes back to the whole, you know, it goes back to the whole that OnlyFans argument because a lot of girls are going crazy on that stuff and Instagram. And that's kind of, again, we've talked about this before. That's guys' fault as well because guys are the simps that, subscribe to this content. So without the simps, all the simp guys, this content would not be profitable for them. But unfortunately, there's a lot of fucking loser men. So it does work for them. It works to their advantage. Like there's people, I know people they're on Instagram and they're average looking at best. And they're driving fucking Ferraris because they do OnlyFans. Like it's easier for girls in that reason. Because guys are fucking simps. So if you look any kind of good, and you don't even have to look that good, you really don't. Like I said, the one person they put on makeup and they look pretty average, but they like post a picture of them with a Ferrari. I'm like, all right, makes sense. But yeah, another guy on here, Nino Butters, says it's not just y'all white men; it's all of us. So I'm guessing he's a person of color. And what else do we got? Ooh, this person's going hard. Bethany Thurston saying these comments are pretty revealing. Victim mode, lack of confidence, lack of purpose, addiction. Pretty sad. Ooh. Let's see who replied to her. Ooh, you keep pointing the finger like you're perfect, Twitter or X says. And oh my god. Another person says, my question to you is what caused this? This didn't appear in past generations, so what caused this one? Humans haven't changed, society has. So I ask you, what policies have your generation put into place to cause this? Again, and the next person after that talks about cell phones, social media. So exactly what I was saying, right? So I don't know. This one pretty much sums up exactly what I was saying last week too. This guy, Nick Tirado, he says, because 100% of our paychecks go to rent and groceries. Bingo. Right? So that's, I'm going to end the podcast here because I have to get going, but it's just kind of revealing, right? All the stuff that it shows that people are struggling. People aren't having a good time. And for sure, there's going to be victim mentality, and there's going to be all kinds of stuff, right? There are going to be your stoner burnouts. Like personally, I'm not in that group that just gets stoned all the time and plays video games all the time like that. I like to get out there and get active. I love video games, don't get me wrong. I play a lot of video games, but I also like to get outside, and I don't really smoke weed that much. I don't drink much. I just kind of live my life and like to have fun. That's what I do. But I work a pretty decent job. I get paid a pretty decent wage, all things considered. and I find it very hard to get ahead right now. Now, again, I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm not making $100,000 a year or even close. But if you're making like over $50,000, you should be able to just have a comfortable life. Shouldn't have to be fighting tooth and nail. So I don't know. I don't know what all these people are saying when they're talking about just, oh, you guys are just victims. It's like, well, I don't know. It's more. I don't think it's for most people. I don't think it's a victim card thing. I think it's like life is actually getting fucked. It's fucking us. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. Let us know. What do you think is going on? Why are these disaffected young men are not going out and just kind of playing video games and chilling at home, smoking weed, and not going after women as much? What do you guys think is the issue there? So let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. And remember, links to all social media are in the description below. And I will see you next week. Bye, guys.